Hello, darlings. You are welcome to Z Star Africa, your home of sizzling drama recaps. Today, we dive deep into Sachin losing control of his anger and delivering a terrible beating to Tejas, while Roshni cleverly tricks Tejas and bends him to her will. Let's get into it. The episode opens with Sachin taking responsibility for arranging a suitable marriage proposal for Juhai. With sincere intentions, he meets a man who initially appears to be an ideal match for her, an officer with a respectable background. However, Sachin's optimism quickly fades when he uncovers the truth behind the man's polished image. Though the officer pretends to be honest and dignified, Sachin learns about his hidden flaws and questionable character. Disappointed and unwilling to compromise Juhai's future, Sachin immediately calls off the proposal and resolves to search for a more deserving partner for her. Meanwhile, Roshni continues executing her carefully designed plan. She contacts Rajeshwari, who is secretly cooperating with her. Rajeshwari confirms that her husband has indeed received a phone call from Tejas, exactly as Roshni intended. This small but calculated move successfully fuels Tejas's jealousy. Slowly falling into Roshni's trap, Tejas becomes increasingly suspicious of her behavior and starts overthinking her actions. At the same time, Aaron's mother unexpectedly arrives at Juhai's house. Unfortunately, Shabha is not present at that moment. Siali handles the situation with grace and respect, politely informing Aaron's mother that Juhai has not been well since her breakup with Aaron. During their conversation, Siali also learns that Aaron himself is deeply heartbroken after being rejected by Juhai. However, his mother seems strangely unconcerned about his emotional turmoil or uncertain future, leaving Sayali disturbed by her indifference. Elsewhere, Roshni pretends she is heading out to attend a birthday party. Her glamorous and eye-catching outfit immediately raises suspicion in Tejas's mind. When he questions her about her destination, Roshni deliberately avoids giving him any answers, intensifying his anxiety and sense of suffocation. Unable to control his doubts, Tejas secretly follows her. Eventually, he meets Sultan, who warmly offers him a plate of delicious food. Sultan seeks Tejas's forgiveness, hoping it will help his nephew and niece settle peacefully in the future. Tejas, however, has his own agenda. He asks Sultan for a favor. He wants Sultan to investigate whether Roshni is having an affair. Sultan is completely stunned and confused by this request. Before the conversation can continue, Sachin arrives at the spot and interrupts them. Back at home, Sachin is approached with another sensitive request to support Aaron, a man who genuinely loves Juhai and wishes to marry her. Despite Aaron's many mistakes and wrong decisions in life, it is clear that he truly loves Juhai from the depths of his heart. However, Sachin firmly refuses to accept Aaron as part of Juhai's life. He remains stubborn and unyielding, declaring that while he can sacrifice his life for Sayali, he will never agree to this proposal. Sayali is left heartbroken, deeply troubled by the painful situation surrounding both Juhai and Aaron. Unable to find any clarity, Tejas turns to artificial intelligence for help in confirming his suspicions. Unfortunately, the AI's analysis strengthens his doubts when its conclusion aligns with his fears. Just then, Roshni returns home and blatantly ignores Tejas, reinforcing the AI's claim that she might be involved in an affair. The situation worsens when Renuka discovers that Sachin has returned home drunk yet again. Furious, she lashes out at him. Sachin reacts dramatically to her harsh behavior, creating chaos in the house. Even Sayali fails to calm him down. Parsh eventually steps in, attempting to restore peace. Tensions reach a breaking point when Tejas confronts Sachin, accusing him of wanting to marry Juhai himself. Enraged, Sachin physically attacks Tejas, beating him blue and black. Later, Tejas returns home in a shocking condition after being brutally beaten by Sachin. His injuries appear extremely serious, with bandages wrapped around almost his entire body. His unusual and almost comical appearance leaves everyone stunned, and for a moment, they fail to recognize him. Seeing his condition, Roshni immediately takes responsibility and rushes him to the hospital for treatment. When they return, Renuka initially suspects that Roshni might be involved in the incident, or that something inappropriate may have happened between Sachin and Tejas under her influence. However, Roshni firmly clarifies that she has no idea how Tejas ended up in such a state, and insists she had nothing to do with the fight. Meanwhile, Sachin openly mocks Tejas, accusing him of exaggerating his injuries and pretending to be severely hurt just to gain sympathy. With difficulty, Roshni and Renuka help Tejas lie down on the bed. Even basic movements cause him pain and he struggles to sit properly. Observing his condition, the family decides that someone must take care of him until he recovers, and Roshni is assigned this responsibility. She tends to him patiently, showing genuine kindness and concern. At one point, she deliberately ignores a call from Rajesh, prioritizing Tejas's care. This gesture deeply affects Tejas, making him believe that Roshni still harbors feelings for him. He becomes determined to take advantage of this moment and decides that he must make an effort to mend their broken relationship. However, Sachin remains unconvinced. He strongly believes that Tejas is merely pretending to be injured and dramatizing the situation to manipulate everyone. In an attempt to expose what he believes is Tejas's lie, Sachin suddenly chases his elder brother with a cricket bat. Panicked, Tejas instinctively runs to save himself, revealing unexpected agility despite his supposed injuries. Sachin proudly claims that this proves Tejas is not as injured as he pretends to be. The situation quickly escalates into chaos. Roshni intervenes and firmly assures the family that Tejas was genuinely injured the previous night and that she herself took him to the hospital. Her words carry weight, and Sachin is immediately scolded and rebuked for creating unnecessary drama and disrespecting his brother. Once again, Roshni is entrusted with the responsibility of taking care of Tejas, much to Sachin's irritation. Meanwhile, a parallel storyline unfolds involving Riya and Akash. Riya expresses her desire for Akash to open his own restaurant and follow his passion. However, Akash hesitates, admitting that he is neither mentally prepared nor financially stable enough to take such a risk. Roshni steps in with encouragement, assuring Akash that she will help arrange everything if he chooses to move forward with his dream. Their conversation is overheard by Nidu, who immediately senses danger. She realizes that if Akash leaves her business, it could seriously threaten her own financial stability. Determined not to lose him, she resolves to act quickly. Elsewhere, Parsh becomes aware of the ongoing animosity between Aaron and Sachin, which is the main reason Sachin is opposing Juhai's marriage proposal. Instead of continuing arguments, Parsh advises Siali to take a practical approach and find a solution that can resolve the conflict peacefully. Later, Nidu arrives at Akash's house, claiming she wants to acknowledge his significant contribution to the success of her restaurant. After learning about Riya's plans for Akash, Nidu decides that she must keep him tied to her business at any cost. However, Riya is clearly unhappy with Nidu's sudden involvement and presence. Nidu then offers Akash an unexpected proposal to make him a working partner in her restaurant without requiring any financial investment. Seeing this as a golden opportunity, Riya encourages Akash to accept the offer. Sachin becomes irritated with Siali for contacting Aaron and his mother. He feels that his wife is no longer listening to him. Suddenly, Siali receives a phone call from her mother informing her that Juhai has fallen sick and has been admitted to the hospital after not eating properly for several days. Tension escalates at the hospital when Sachin and Aaron, Juhai's lover, get into a heated confrontation. Their argument soon turns into an aggressive fight, alarming everyone around them. Dilip steps in and explains that he had personally asked Aaron to come to the hospital to check on Juhai's critical condition, but Sachin refuses to calm down. Siali, already emotionally overwhelmed by Juhai's poor health, loses her patience. Angrily, she asks Sachin to leave the hospital corridor immediately. Her words deeply hurt Sachin, who silently walks away, feeling rejected and misunderstood. Meanwhile, Rajesh calls Tejas, whose insecurities begin to surface. Tejas fears that Roshni might drift away from him, so he tries to emotionally trap her by pulling her close under the pretense of affection. He attempts to romance her, hoping to reassure himself of her feelings. However, Roshni is not impressed. Instead of responding to his advances, she becomes irritated and firmly warns him. She tells Tejas that if he truly loves her, he must openly prove his commitment in front of everyone and take responsibility for their relationship. Only then, she says, can their bond be normalized. Back at the hospital, Siali reflects on Juhai's fragile condition and decides that the ongoing conflict must be resolved for Juhai's sake. She feels that Sachin might not listen to anyone else but Shabha. With this belief, Sayali plans to send Shabha to talk to Sachin and request him to forgive Aaron and reconsider his rigid stance. Elsewhere, Tejas asks Roshni to help him drink his juice, trying to create a moment of closeness. Before Roshni can respond, Renuka interrupts them, watching their interaction closely. Roshni then announces that she and Tejas will be going to the showroom together. Renuka immediately tries to stop Roshni, suspicious of her growing influence over her son. However, Roshni cleverly manipulates the situation, emotionally convincing Tejas, and manages to leave with him despite Renuka's objections. This deeply affects Renuka. She becomes emotional, feeling that she is gradually losing control over her beloved son. Her possessiveness turns into fear and helplessness. Parsh notices her distress and gently advises her to stop being overly controlling, reminding her that excessive interference could push Tejas further away instead of bringing him closer. Later, Parsh asks Sayali about Juhai's health. At the same time, Sachin returns home, and once again a heated argument erupts between him and Sayali. The discussion revolves around Aaron and whether he truly deserves to be Juhai's life partner. Sachin firmly believes Aaron is unworthy, while Sayali strongly disagrees. Parsh intervenes and takes Sayali's side, advising Sachin that the final decision should be left to Juhai herself. Sayali further defends Aaron, mentioning that he had once financially helped her during a difficult time through Juhai, proving that he is not entirely a bad person. Despite their efforts, Sachin remains stubborn and unwilling to listen. Parsh then calmly advises him to first understand Aaron properly, learn more about his character, and only then make a final judgment. See you in the next. Much love.